Sean, Rich, and Bubbles here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood, and in today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a this or that. Rich has to choose one. The emphasis is fat loss. So I'm going to give him two options. He has to choose one and defend his argument. Whatever he says, regardless of what it is, whether I agree with it or not, I have to play devil's advocate and give an opposing argument. So you ready to get into it?
Let's do it, Ken.
Okay, so the first topic here, we're going to cover weights versus cardio. Which one's more important for fat loss?
It's definitely cardio. No, I'm joking. I thought you threw a curveball there. I'm definitely going to weights right here, and here's the reason, guys. When it comes to like fat loss, as a shorter-term play, you can definitely argue cardio because you're burning more calories on average in a given session. But then in the game is fat loss, but protect your muscle in a fat loss phase. And the best way we do that is to obviously lift weights and strength train. It's a bit of an investment as well when it comes to lifting weights, right? Because like when we build more muscle, on average, we're gonna burn more calories at rest. So months and years down the road, the more muscle you can build, you're actually gonna burn more calories opposed if you just did cardio in a given day. Let's hear your devil's advocate now.
Okay, so I think Rich made some good points, but because today's topic is fat loss, I think he talked a lot about overall physique, building muscle, all these things, maybe long-term, but even when he is talking about long-term, building muscle and having a faster metabolism, that's still a very small piece of the pie when it comes to fat loss. So if you want to just break it down to the simplest terms, Rich already acknowledged exactly the reason why cardio is better for fat loss. Because if you did a 1 hour strength training workout and I do a 1 hour cardio running workout, I'm going to burn more calories. By that definition, cardio is better for fat loss. Okay, moving on to the next one. And guys, just so you know, some of these I'm going to believe in, some of them I'm not, right? So I'm playing devil's advocate. Literally whatever Rich says, I have to argue the opposite, even if I disagree. Okay, so that's the disclaimer here. The next one we're going to talk about here is going to be calorie counting versus clean eating when it comes to fat loss. Where are you going with this?
This one's obvious for me. It's definitely going to be calorie counting. And I say this for two reasons. Number one is most people have no idea how many calories they're actually taking in. And they'll be like, hey, Rich, Sean, I can't lose fat. And then we're like, oh, are you tracking your calories? And some of them might even say yes. Even if they are, they're still going to underestimate their calories. But you can imagine how off they are their calories if they're kind of ballparking it. On the other end of it, when we just say I'm eating clean, it's very subjective, right? Like, what does eating clean really mean? Like, are you having a bunch of avocados, nuts, like foods that have like higher calories that can really drive the calorie count? Or are you having like chicken, broccoli, and rice? So eating clean is very subjective. Calorie counting is objective, and I'm always gonna go with the objective way when it comes to measuring fat loss. Let's hear your devil's advocate argument here.
Okay, so Rich is kind of using his own logic from the last one against him, right? So his big argument with weight training is long-term, it's going to be way more successful. But when it comes to calorie counting, I think it's the opposite. So the way I think of calorie counting is use it like you're using training wheels, right? It's a great tool to learn. Everyone should calorie count at some point. But in my opinion, at the end of the day, at some point, you want to be able to get to the point where you don't have to rely on calorie counting. So yes, use that as a step, but eventually you want to get to the point where you can do intuitive eating, and then by focus on clean eating, you're naturally probably going to get into a calorie deficit anyway. I wouldn't recommend starting with it, but it's an absolute great way to finish off and kind of succeed long-term with that. And a lot of the times when we focus on calorie counting, it's anything at the expense of reaching our calories and macros, even at the expense of some food quality. So food quality matters. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to make you look better. And it's also going to help you much better when it comes to fat loss in the long term.
What does Bubble say?
All right, moving on to the next one. We have sleep versus supplements.
Easiest one here, 1,000 out of 1,000 times I am going sleep. And I think of it this way, guys, when it comes to losing fat and sleep. Losing fat in itself is like running a marathon. It's challenging to do. You don't have to make it any harder on yourself. But when you're trying to lose fat and you're sleeping like crap, it's like trying to run a marathon uphill. It just makes it so much more challenging to do. Because if you're not sleeping right, like so many things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to feel hungry all the time. Like we know that. I'm sure you know. Like if you're not sleeping properly, you wake up the next day and you probably have more hunger cravings. And the second thing it's going to really do as well, like not to get into the recovery aspect in terms of your muscles and all that, but it's going to help you, or say it's going to decrease how full it makes you as well. So our hunger hormone is going to go up and we're going to feel less full on top of it. Good luck debating me on this one here, buddy.
So here's the thing, sleep definitely has a ton of benefits. It's great for you. When it comes to fat loss, they're all indirect. And I think Rich would be the first person to tell you that when it comes to fat loss, nutrition is king, right? So even when we do our best efforts, we're gonna have some sort of voids or inconsistencies with our nutrition. And that's where supplements come into play. When I think of supplements, I'm not talking about the fat burners, the testosterone boosters, all of these quote unquote proprietary blends. I'm talking about things that can actually make your fat loss a lot easier. Protein powder, for instance. If you're struggling to get enough protein, having a supplement like a protein powder is going to make your life so much easier. It's going to help you stay full. Rich talked about how the importance of hunger is. Getting enough protein is going to be huge when it comes to that. Protein also helps you burn more calories through digestion than the other macros. And then we can also talk about creatine. So Rich already emphasized the importance of strength training. Creatine is going to help you in the gym. We can talk about something like fiber, which actually burns more calories as you excrete it than other macro or micronutrients as well. And even something like magnesium, where it's actually going to help you sleep. So sleep is great, tons of indirect benefits, but there are some supplements that can directly help you with your fat loss. All right, guys, we're halfway through it. The next one we're going to talk about here is calories versus protein. What you got?
So when it comes to fat loss, which is the name of the game, this is a clear-cut calories, because calories are the number one thing that's going to drive if you're either gaining weight or losing weight. Now, if we're talking like full body recomp and like we're talking like, you know, looking good with your shirt off, you can definitely make an argument for protein, but we are talking fat loss here. The obvious answer, guys, is calories. If you're taking in too many calories, you're simply not going to lose fat. Like, let's really kind of dumb it down right now. So protein obviously helps with your muscle and whatnot and looking good, but if you have 200 grams of protein, but your calories are too high, you're not going to lose weight. It's that simple. What do you guys say to that?
So I think when we talk about fat loss, the two most important things are calorie deficit and protein. There's no arguing that. And yes, to Rich's point, you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. But if we're focusing on the long term, which it seems like Rich has really been emphasizing, especially early on, then just like the people, here's the thing, most people lose weight at some point in their lives. The vast majority of people end up gaining it back again. And the people that don't gain it back have two things in common. They strength training, to kind of help emphasize Rich's point here, and they also take in a ton of protein, right? So if your goal is just to lose a ton of weight right away, then yeah, just cut your calories. But if you want to lose body fat and keep it off long term, and like Rich said, have a very impressive physique, you want to make sure you're getting enough protein. I would emphasize that as the foundational element of every single meal. Like I said before, it's going to help preserve your muscle during fat loss, and it's going to help you feel full for longer, and it's also going to burn additional calories as well. So protein, clear-cut winner here.
You're contradicting cardio versus weights, my argument though, just saying.
A little bit. Okay, next topic here, we have meal prep versus eating out. What you got?
Eating out for sure. Like, you gotta go to McDonald's, Harvey's, right? Like, you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah. This one, guys, is an obvious one. It's gonna be meal prepping, and it's one of the biggest things we really coach our clients on too, and like what we really preach is you have to have some sort of preparation in terms of your food. Because like, if you're just going in every single day and you're winging it, and then you get home from a long day of work, you see Uber Eats right there, or you know, you want to go to a restaurant, you're going to drive up your calories pretty high, especially if you're relying on convenience. But meal prep is, of course, you're making sure you have a plan for the week, which is huge. And then it just goes back to the convenience thing. When you get back home after a long day's work, you have your meal ready for you, you have it planned, and you just tackle it, opposed to relying on how you feel, which is essentially what we do when we take out a lot. We go on those, you know, those quick impulses, those quick dopamine hits. Good luck defending this one here, buddy.
So kind of what we were talking about before when it comes to calorie counting versus clean eating, meal prep is great, but again, it's like training wheels, right? You're kind of confined in this little box. And eventually, let's be honest, like theoretically it sounds great, but the novelty kind of wears off, right? It gets a little bit old having to meal prep every single week. So the goal when we're trying to coach our clients is to give them all of the resources and the knowledge that they need to succeed long term. And eventually you want to get to the point where you don't have to rely on these things, that you can go out and enjoy your restaurants and have a bunch of food that you would typically not have during your meal prep and still be able to succeed, right? Because if you want to succeed long term, what are the chances of you meal prepping 24/7, 365 for years and years and years? If that's you, awesome. That's not the average person. So we want to try to coach the average person to make sure that they can still enjoy the foods that they want without feeling like they have to plan every last detail 24/7.
Big McDonald's guy over here, eh?
Love it. All right, guys, last one for today. We're going to go 3 meals per day versus 5 meals per day.
So this one is very subjective, and it definitely depends person to person, but I'm going to say on average, it's going to be better for the person to eat 3 meals a day opposed to 5 meals per day. Now, I remember when Sean and I were going through, I think it was 2011 was it when it was? We just kind of started our personal training journey. the thing at that time was eat 5-6 meals a day to stoke your metabolism. And maybe you guys have heard that, or maybe you still hear that to this day. That's kind of a bit of a myth right now. And we know the overall thing that matters is basically how many calories you're taking in and how much protein you're taking in. And if you have 3 meals compared to 5 meals per day, there's just a better chance your calorie number is going to be lower. You can definitely argue 5 meals is easier to get more protein, but obviously the main thing that we're concerned about when it comes to fat loss is going to be calories. So I would choose 3 meals. But again, it's very subjective, and it can definitely depend person to person.
Yeah, and like Rich said, I'm not going to make the whole stoking your metabolism argument. It's a terrible argument. There's nothing I could say that would make that legit. But he said it. It's protein and it's calories. And eating 5 meals a day is going to make it much easier to make sure both are controlled for 2 reasons. Number one, he already kind of alluded to this. When you're having 5 meals a day, you can make protein the star of each dish, and you're much more likely to get your protein targets. With 3 meals a day, you got to have a ton of protein in each meal. That's just not really going to be feasible for a lot of guys. The second option, if you're a guy like me, you're probably a big eater, right? And if you give someone the all expenses paid opportunity to eat these massive meals, you're going to go way over the calories. So it seems a little counterintuitive. But when you give someone the option of having 3 big meals per day, those big meals become huge meals and you're much more likely to actually overeat. Whereas if you know you're having 5 meals a day, you're going to be a lot more regulated. You're going to keep the serving sizes down. And like he said, you're much more able to actually prioritize protein. But to his point, this one kind of lifestyle dependent. So depending on who you are, one may work best for the other. It's a tough one to make. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy videos like this, do us a huge favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know who you think won. Was it Rich who got to make his initial choice? Or was it me, the devil's advocate? I had to argue against whatever he said, regardless whether or not I believed it. So let us know in the comments below. We'll check you guys out next time.